The Navajo tribe, also known as the Diné, stands as one of the largest and most resilient indigenous groups in North America. Their rich history spans over a millennium, interwoven with ancient myths, spirituality, and a profound connection to nature. While archaeological evidence points to their migration from the north, possibly from what is now Western Canada, as part of the Athabascan-speaking peoples, their true origins are best understood through the lens of their creation stories. These oral traditions, passed down through generations, are central to the Navajo worldview and continue to shape their cultural identity to this day. The Diné believe that the world was created through a process of transformation and evolution, often described as the four worlds. Each world represents a stage of existence and spiritual growth. According to these teachings, the first world, the Black World, was a place of darkness and chaos. Here, the holy people, or Diné, emerged and began their journey of discovery and learning. Through conflicts and lessons learned, they progressed to the second world, known as the Blue World, and then to the third, the Yellow World. Each transition involved challenges and purification until they reached the fourth world, the Glittering World, which is the current realm of existence. In the Glittering World, first man and first woman were created, along with sacred beings such as the sun, moon, and stars. These entities played crucial roles in shaping the landscape and setting the boundaries of the Navajo homeland. The sacred four mountains, Mount Blanca to the east, Mount Taylor to the south, San Francisco Peaks to the west, and Mount Hesperus to the north, mark the traditional Navajo territory. Each mountain is imbued with profound spiritual significance, representing not only cardinal directions, but also colors, elements, and spiritual guardians. Together they form a protective boundary and a spiritual map that defines the Navajo's relationship with the land. The sacred mountains are more than geographical markers. They are central to the Navajo's sense of identity and spirituality. For instance, Mount Blanca, associated with the color white, represents the east, dawn, and the beginning of life. Mount Taylor, linked to the color blue, symbolizes the south and the concepts of youth and growth. The San Francisco Peaks, tied to the color yellow, represent the west, the evening, and maturity. Mount Hesperus, associated with the color black, embodies the north, night, and wisdom. Together, these mountains serve as a framework for understanding the natural world and maintaining spiritual balance. Central to the Navajo worldview is the concept of Hojo, often translated as beauty, balance, or harmony. This philosophy permeates every aspect of Navajo life, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all things and the importance of living in harmony with the environment, oneself, and others. Hojo is not merely an abstract concept, but a guiding principle that informs daily life, ceremonies, and decision-making. For example, traditional Navajo healing ceremonies are designed to restore Hojo when it has been disrupted by illness, conflict, or misfortune. These ceremonies, conducted by medicine men known as Hatali, are deeply spiritual and intricate. Among the most important are the Blessing Way and the Enemy Way. The Blessing Way is a ritual focused on protection, purification, and the reinforcement of harmony, often performed during significant life events such as births, marriages, and journeys. The Enemy Way, on the other hand, is designed to address conflict and negative influences, particularly for those returning from warfare or other traumatic experiences. Through songs, prayers, and symbolic acts, These ceremonies aim to realign individuals and communities with the principles of Hojo. Another cornerstone of Navajo culture is the oral tradition of storytelling. Stories are not merely entertainment, but a means of preserving history, ethics, and cultural knowledge. Elders pass down these narratives to younger generations, teaching them about the origins of the world, the roles of sacred beings, and the moral lessons necessary for a harmonious life. For example, tales of Coyote, a complex and often mischievous figure in Navajo mythology, serve as both cautionary tales and reflections on human nature. Through these stories, the Navajo impart wisdom about the importance of respect, humility, and the consequences of one's actions. The Navajos' relationship with nature is another defining aspect of their worldview. They see themselves as stewards of the land, entrusted with the responsibility of maintaining its balance and vitality. This perspective is evident in their agricultural practices, which are guided by an understanding of the seasons, the soil, and the needs of the environment. Traditional Navajo farming techniques emphasizes sustainability and respect for natural resources, reflecting their deep connection to the earth. The hogan, the traditional Navajo dwelling, embodies this connection to nature and spirituality. Built from wood and earth, the hogan is more than a shelter. It is a sacred space aligned with cosmic principles. The doorway of every hogan faces east, welcoming the rising sun and symbolizing renewal and new beginnings. The circular structure represents the cyclical nature of life and the interconnectedness of all things. Within the hogan, daily activities are imbued with spiritual significance, reinforcing the Navajos' commitment to living in harmony with the natural world. This profound connection to their environment is also reflected in Navajo art and craftsmanship. Navajo weaving, for instance, is not only a practical skill, but a deeply symbolic practice. Each rug or blanket tells a story, incorporating patterns and colors that hold spiritual meanings. Red might symbolize the life-giving power of the sun, while black could represent the protective energy of the sacred mountains. The act of weaving itself is considered a form of prayer, a way of bringing Hojo into tangible form. The Navajos' spiritual and cultural practices have enabled them to endure centuries of external pressures, from Spanish colonization to forced relocations by the U.S. government. Despite these challenges, their worldview remains intact, offering a framework for resilience and adaptation. By grounding their identity in the principles of Hojo and their sacred connection to the land, the Navajo continue to thrive as a people, preserving their traditions while navigating the complexities of the modern world. The arrival of the Spanish in the 16th century marked a turning point in Navajo history, introducing profound changes that reshaped their society and way of life. Among the most significant changes was the introduction of new livestock, primarily sheep, which transformed the Navajo economy and culture. Sheep herding became a cornerstone of their livelihood, providing not only sustenance, but also a foundation for their renowned weaving tradition. Navajo rugs and blankets, celebrated for their intricate patterns and vibrant colors, emerged as cultural icons and valuable trade commodities, deeply intertwined with the Navajo identity. However, Spanish contact also brought violence and colonization. The Spanish mission system sought to impose Christianity and integrate Native Americans into the colonial labor economy. This system involved the forced conversion of indigenous peoples and the appropriation of their labor to sustain Spanish settlements. For the Navajo, these efforts represented an existential threat to their autonomy and cultural practice. They resisted fiercely, engaging in frequent skirmishes and raids to protect their way of life. This resistance, however, did not preclude adaptation and strategic interaction with the Spanish. One of the most notable aspects of the Navajos' response to Spanish colonization was their pragmatic adoption of beneficial practices. Sheep herding, for instance, became integral to their society, reshaping their economy and daily life. The Navajo quickly became adept at managing herds, and wool from their sheep provided the raw material for their weaving. This adaptability allowed them to integrate Spanish-introduced resources into their culture while maintaining their identity. Horses, another Spanish introduction, revolutionized Navajo mobility and territorial expansion. With the acquisition of horses, the Navajo could cover greater distances more efficiently, enabling them to establish trade networks and expand their influence. This newfound mobility also enhanced their ability to defend their lands and carry out raids against Spanish settlements. The Navajos' use of horses exemplified their ability to incorporate new tools and technologies into their traditional practice. Trade and interaction with the Spanish were not solely conflict-driven. The Navajo engaged in strategic exchanges, trading goods such as rugs, livestock, and crafts for weapons, metal tools, and other items. These interactions facilitated a degree of cultural exchange as the Navajo selectively incorporated Spanish influences into their own practices. For example, some elements of Spanish architecture and agricultural techniques found their way into Navajo life, blending with indigenous traditions. Despite these adaptations, the Spanish era was characterized by intermittent warfare and tension. The Navajos' resistance to the mission system and colonial rule underscored their commitment to preserving their autonomy. At the same time, their ability to engage in trade and adopt advantageous practices highlighted their resilience and pragmatism. This dual approach of resistance and adaptation enabled the Navajo to navigate the challenges of Spanish colonization while preserving their cultural identity. The legacy of this period is evident in the enduring importance of sheep herding and weaving in Navajo culture. These practices, introduced during Spanish contact, have become deeply rooted in Navajo identity, symbolizing their ability to adapt and thrive amidst external pressure. The resilience demonstrated during this era set the stage for the Navajos' continued survival and cultural preservation in the face of future challenges. The mid-19th century brought one of the darkest and most harrowing chapters in Navajo history. The long walk and the forced relocation of thousands of Navajo people. This period was marked by the aggressive westward expansion of the United States and its relentless efforts to dominate indigenous lands. For the Navajo, the encroachment of settlers, combined with military campaigns, represented an existential threat to their culture, autonomy, and very way of life. The tensions between the Navajo and the U.S. government reached a boiling point in the early 1860s. Settlers demanded more land for expansion, while the government sought to secure the territory and its resources. These pressures culminated in 1863, when General Kit Carson was tasked with subjugating the Navajo people. Under orders, Carson launched a brutal scorched earth campaign designed to dismantle the Navajos' ability to resist. Carson's campaign was devastatingly methodical. His forces targeted Navajo villages, destroying crops, slaughtering livestock, and burning orchards that had sustained generations of Navajo families. The destruction of these vital resources left the Navajo with little choice but to surrender or face starvation. The psychological impact was equally profound, as entire communities were displaced, and their sacred connection to the land was severed. In 1864, following the systematic dismantling of their resources, thousands of Navajo men, women, and children were forcibly removed from their homeland. This removal marked the beginning of the infamous Long Walk, a forced march of over 300 miles from their ancestral lands in Arizona to Bosque Redondo, a desolate reservation near Fort Sumner, New Mexico. The journey was grueling and fraught with unimaginable hardships. The conditions during the Long Walk were horrific. The Navajo were given minimal food and water, and many were forced to march in extreme weather conditions without adequate clothing or shelter. Disease, exhaustion, and starvation claimed countless lives along the way. Survivors recounted harrowing tales of family members collapsing from exhaustion, never to rise again. The emotional toll was equally devastating, as they were forcibly separated from their sacred homeland, a place deeply intertwined with their spiritual and cultural identity. Upon their arrival at Bosque Redondo, the Navajo faced further suffering. The reservation, chosen without regard for its suitability, was arid and inhospitable. The land was ill-suited for farming, and the government's promises of provisions were grossly inadequate. Disease spread rapidly in the overcrowded conditions, and many Navajo perished from malnutrition, exposure, and illness. Survivors described Bosque Redondo as a prison of death, a place where hope seemed all but lost. Despite the dire circumstances, the Navajo demonstrated remarkable resilience. They drew strength from their cultural traditions, maintaining their identity and unity even in the face of immense suffering. Elders shared stories to preserve their history and instill hope in younger generations, while ceremonies were performed to maintain spiritual balance. These acts of cultural preservation became acts of resistance, a refusal to let their identity be erased. The failure of the Bosque Redondo experiment became evident to the U.S. government after 4 years of suffering. In 1868, recognizing the untenable conditions and the resilience of the Navajo people, the government negotiated a treaty allowing the Navajo to return to a portion of their ancestral lands. The Treaty of 1868 was a monumental moment in Navajo history. It not only marked the end of the Long Walk, but also signified the beginning of their journey to rebuild their lives and communities. The return to their homeland was bittersweet. While the Navajo were relieved to leave Bosque Redondo, they returned to a land ravaged by the Scorched Earth campaign. Rebuilding their homes, crops, and livelihoods was a monumental task. Yet, their resilience shone through as they began the slow process of recovery. Families replanted fields, rebuilt hogans, and restored their spiritual connection to the land. The sacred mountains that had defined their homeland became symbols of hope and renewal. The legacy of the Long Walk is profound, serving as a stark reminder of the resilience and strength of the Navajo people. It underscores the devastating consequences of colonization and displacement, while also highlighting the power of cultural identity and unity in overcoming adversity. Today, the memory of the Long Walk is preserved through stories, memorials, and education, ensuring that future generations understand the sacrifices and perseverance of their ancestors. In contemporary Navajo society, the lessons of the Long Walk continue to resonate. The Navajo Nation has emerged as a symbol of resilience and cultural preservation, balancing the challenges of modernity with the enduring values of their heritage. Their journey from Bosque Redondo to the thriving communities of today is a testament to their unyielding spirit and determination to overcome even the most harrowing challenges. The resilience of the Navajo people was perhaps most famously demonstrated during World War II, when their unique language and cultural ingenuity played a critical role in the Allied victory. The Navajo Code Talkers, a group of brave Navajo soldiers, developed and implemented an unbreakable military code that confounded enemy forces and ensured secure communication across the Pacific Theater. This remarkable achievement not only highlighted the strategic value of the Navajo language, but also underscored the strength and adaptability of the Navajo people. The idea of using the Navajo language as a code originated with Philip Johnston, a non-Navajo who had grown up on a Navajo reservation and was fluent in the language. Recognizing the language's complexity and its lack of written form, Johnston proposed it to the U.S. Marine Corps in 1942 as the foundation for an unbreakable code. The military quickly recognized the potential and recruited a group of Navajo men to serve as code talkers. The Navajo recruits underwent intensive training to develop a code that translated military terms into Navajo. This system utilized everyday Navajo words to describe complex military concepts. For instance, the Navajo word for turtle was used to signify a tank, while chicken hawk referred to a dive bomber. The code talkers' ingenuity lay not only in creating these translations, but also in ensuring that they could relay messages rapidly and accurately under the pressures of battle. The Navajo code talkers were deployed to some of the most critical battles of the Pacific Theater, including Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. Their contributions were particularly crucial during the Battle of Iwo Jima, where their coded communications ensured the seamless coordination of American forces. Major Howard Connor, a Marine Corps officer, later remarked, "Were it not for the Navajos, the Marines would never have taken Iwo Jima." The Navajo code was so effective that it remained classified for decades after the war, ensuring that its secrets could not be exploited in future conflicts. When the code was finally declassified in 1968, the world learned of the extraordinary contributions of the Navajo code talkers. They were hailed as national heroes, their story serving as a powerful testament to the strength, adaptability, and patriotism of the Navajo people. Beyond their strategic contributions, the Navajo code talkers symbolized a broader cultural triumph. At a time when indigenous peoples faced systemic discrimination and marginalization, the code talkers demonstrated the value of native knowledge and language on a global stage. Their success challenged stereotypes and inspired pride among the Navajo and other indigenous communities. The legacy of the Navajo code talkers endures today through memorials, documentaries, and the annual Navajo Code Talkers Day, celebrated every August 14th. Their story continues to inspire future generations, serving as a reminder of the profound impact of cultural identity and resilience in overcoming adversity. In the modern era, the Navajo Nation faces a complex interplay of challenges and opportunities as it navigates the demands of contemporary society while preserving its cultural heritage. With a population exceeding 300,000 and a land base that spans portions of Arizona, Utah, and New Mexico, the Navajo Nation is the largest Native American reservation in the United States. Despite its vastness, the community faces persistent issues related to poverty, unemployment, and access to essential services such as healthcare and education. Poverty remains a significant challenge for the Navajo people, with many families living below the federal poverty line. The remoteness of the reservation exacerbates these issues, making it difficult to attract businesses and industries that could provide stable employment. Infrastructure development, including roads, electricity, and water systems, lags behind other parts of the United States, further hindering economic growth and quality of life. Unemployment rates remain high, and many Navajo must seek work outside the reservation, often at the cost of leaving their families and cultural ties behind. Healthcare disparities are another pressing concern. Access to medical facilities is limited, and many communities lack adequate healthcare providers. Chronic health issues such as diabetes, heart disease, and obesity are prevalent, compounded by limited access to fresh food and preventive care. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted these vulnerabilities as the Navajo Nation experienced disproportionately high infection and mortality rates. However, the community also demonstrated resilience, with tribal leadership implementing strict measures to curb the spread of the virus and protect their people. Education is both a challenge and a beacon of hope for the Navajo Nation. Many schools on the reservation face underfunding, outdated facilities, and high dropout rates. Despite these challenges, efforts to integrate Navajo language and culture into the curriculum have been met with success, fostering a sense of identity and pride among students. Higher education initiatives, including scholarships and partnerships with universities, are enabling more Navajo youth to pursue advanced degrees and return to the reservation as leaders and professionals. Economic development within the Navajo Nation is a multifaceted endeavor. The tribe has long relied on natural resource extraction, including coal, oil, and gas, as a primary source of revenue. While these industries have provided critical funding for tribal programs and services, they have also raised concerns about environmental sustainability and the long-term health of the land. In recent years, the Navajo Nation has taken significant steps toward diversifying its economy and embracing renewable energy projects such as solar and wind power. These initiatives align with the Navajos' deep respect for nature and their commitment to preserving the environment for future generations. Cultural preservation remains at the heart of the Navajo Nation's efforts to sustain its identity in a rapidly changing world. Language revitalization programs are central to these efforts, as the Navajo language is considered a cornerstone of the tribe's cultural heritage. Elders and educators worked tirelessly to teach the language to younger generations, ensuring its survival. Traditional practices such as weaving, storytelling, and ceremonies continue to thrive, serving as a bridge between the past and the present. Community-driven initiatives have also played a vital role in preserving Navajo culture and addressing modern challenges. Organizations within the Navajo Nation focus on everything from food sovereignty and sustainable agriculture to mental health services and youth mentorship programs. These efforts reflect a holistic approach to community well-being, grounded in the Navajo principles of balance and harmony. The Navajo Nation's advocacy for environmental justice has garnered national attention. Tribal leaders have been at the forefront of efforts to protect their land and water from pollution, overuse, and exploitation. Legal battles over water rights and resource management underscore the tribe's determination to safeguard its natural resources for future generations. This advocacy is deeply rooted in the Navajo worldview, which emphasizes the interconnectedness of all life and the responsibility to care for the earth. In the face of these challenges, the Navajo people continue to demonstrate resilience and ingenuity. By blending traditional practices with modern innovations, they are charting a path forward that honors their heritage while embracing the opportunities of the 21st century. The Navajo Nation's story is one of perseverance and adaptation, a testament to the enduring strength of its people and their commitment to building a brighter future for generations to come. The future of the Navajo Nation is one of both promise and responsibility as the tribe seeks to navigate the complexities of modernity while remaining steadfast in its cultural and spiritual roots. Central to this vision is the empowerment of the Navajo youth, who are seen as the key to sustaining the tribe's identity and ensuring its prosperity. Education continues to be a top priority for the Navajo Nation. Investments in educational infrastructure, teacher training, and culturally relevant curricula are equipping young Navajo with the tools they need to succeed in a globalized world. Programs that emphasize STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math fields, alongside traditional knowledge, are preparing students to address the challenges of the future while staying connected to their heritage. Scholarships and mentorship initiatives are also encouraging more Navajo youth to pursue higher education and return to the reservation as leaders and changemakers. Economic diversification is another critical component of the Navajo Nation's vision for the future. Renewable energy projects, such as solar farms and wind turbines, are paving the way for sustainable economic growth, while respecting the tribe's commitment to environmental stewardship. Tourism, driven by the breathtaking landscapes of the Navajo Nation and the allure of its cultural heritage, offers another avenue for economic development. Efforts to promote responsible tourism are ensuring that visitors can experience the beauty of Navajo land without compromising its sanctity. Healthcare and community well-being remain at the core of the Navajo Nation's aspirations. The tribe is making concerted efforts to improve access to medical services by building clinics and recruiting healthcare professionals who understand the unique needs of their people. Mobile health units and telemedicine are being utilized to bridge the gap for remote communities. These efforts are not only addressing immediate health concerns, but also fostering a long-term vision of a healthier and more resilient population. Cultural preservation will continue to play a vital role in shaping the Navajo future. Efforts to revitalize the Navajo language are expanding, with increased support for immersion schools, digital tools, and community workshops. Traditional ceremonies and practices are being adapted to the modern context, ensuring that they remain accessible and relevant to younger generations. Storytelling, weaving, and other cultural arts are also being preserved through dedicated programs and mentorships, reinforcing the tribe's identity in a rapidly changing world. Environmental stewardship is another cornerstone of the Navajo Nation's vision. With climate change posing a growing threat to the Southwest, the tribe is taking proactive measures to protect their natural resources. Water conservation initiatives, sustainable farming practices, and reforestation projects are aligning with traditional Navajo values that emphasize harmony with the earth. Renewable energy projects, such as large-scale solar installations, are not only reducing the tribe's carbon footprint, but also generating revenue and jobs for the community. Technological integration is emerging as a key strategy for the Navajo Nation to bridge the gap between tradition and innovation. High-speed internet is being expanded across the reservation, enabling access to online education, telehealth, and remote work opportunities. Digital archives and virtual reality experiences are being developed to document and share Navajo history and culture with a broader audience. These advancements are empowering Navajo youth to engage with the world on their terms, while maintaining a strong connection to their roots. Leadership within the Navajo Nation is increasingly focused on intergenerational collaboration. Elders, as custodians of traditional knowledge, are working alongside younger leaders who bring fresh perspectives and modern expertise. This partnership is fostering a governance model that respects the past while embracing the future. Policies and initiatives are being designed to balance economic development with cultural preservation, ensuring that progress does not come at the expense of identity. Global partnerships are also becoming a vital part of the Navajo Nation's strategy. Collaborations with universities, environmental organizations, and international indigenous groups are providing new opportunities for knowledge exchange and mutual support. These partnerships are helping the Navajo address shared challenges such as climate change and cultural preservation, while amplifying their voice on the global stage. The Navajo Nation's vision for the future is deeply rooted in the principle of Hotso, the pursuit of balance and harmony. By blending traditional values with modern innovation, The tribe is creating a blueprint for sustainable growth that honors their heritage while preparing for the challenges ahead. The Navajo people's journey from resilience to revitalization is a powerful testament to the enduring strength of their spirit and their unwavering commitment to safeguarding their culture, land, and community for generations to come.